Gene, you've been critical of the Wall Street Journal and how they report their numbers. And some people have said, well, since the Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones owns you, owns your publication, owns the Wall Street Journal. People have said that you're sort of like biting the hand that feeds you. What's the real story here with that?
Well, I'm not biting the hand that feeds me because I because I enjoy doing that. The Wall Street Journal is owned by Dow Jones, and it's the cash cow that is owned by Dow Jones. It's a very valued asset of Dow Jones, far more valued than Barron's, which is also owned by Dow Jones. And for me to criticize the coverage in the Wall Street Journal is really only testament to my editors and the way they encourage editorial independence at Barron's, because I criticized the Wall Street Journal's coverage in my columns at Barron's, and so I felt free to do so in my book. I have a chapter in the book called Bush League Economics, which is really a pretty appalling story about how the Wall Street Journal kept spinning and kept trying to becloud how the employment numbers looked going into the 2004 re-election of George Bush. They tried to make the numbers look much better than they possibly could look.
I'm shocked.
All for the purpose of trying to get Bush re-elected. Yeah.
Shocking. And what do they say when you bring these objections up?
I haven't heard from them.
So they just ignore it.
The best response is just to ignore it. The consequence of what I wrote, I guess, is the reason why my book was not reviewed in the Wall Street Journal. The best thing to do is to ignore criticism, not to have to face it, because you only turn the critic into a notorious opponent. You give him notoriety that you don't want to give him when you respond to criticism. So I've been ignored.